Do you know you can tell I'm a Liverpool supporter? I'm smiling. Okay, wasn't smiling as much this morning. Man City are on top of the league, aren't they? Okay. All right, so welcome to the benefits of using Fuel50 in your organisation. So I'm going to take you through a journey, what I call a case story, okay? And obviously I've got the next sort of 25, 30 minutes to tell you that in. I was travelling down on the train this morning. I picked up a couple of things through social media. The first one was 86% of people leave their jobs because they don't have the right career opportunities. Wow, isn't that a burning platform in itself to go and do? Yeah? And the other one I picked up on, and I wasn't here for Josh's session, but I just picked up this piece around millennials and the fact that there might be this parental relationship in the future. And I just thought it's just an opportunity just to share a quick story, because I've got 4 kids, right? I come to work for a break, right? And with the 4 kids, this is no joke, right? The other night, the little one's playing up. He's in bed. So I went to the bottom of the stairs and I went, Connor, get to sleep. And I walked back into the living room, and on the baby monitor that we've got, all I heard was, Daddy, pause, you get to sleep. And I thought, God, this is the generation that we've got coming up, you know, the phones, the iPads and all that goes with it. Okay. So Michael's kind of set me up here, hasn't he? So benefits of using Fuel50 in your organisation. What I'm doing with this bit is, if you think about my story, I'm going back a couple of years, right? Because I used to work for MB&A, right? So I'm going to tell you the story. It's a 4-year story that we went through. This case story, all right? So this is MB&A prior to the sale of Lloyds Banking Group and as part of Bank of America, okay? And as Michael's already alluded, I've got background, 20 years in the financial services for these various companies, in sales service, leadership, learning development, and more so leadership development, okay? So that's me. All right. So where I wanted to start with is that I was at a summit a couple of weeks ago in Vienna, and I met a guy called Perry Timms, who's wrote a book about transformational HR. Okay? And what he said is that we're at an inflection point right now, an inflection point. Because yes, there's agile going on. Yes, there's innovation. Yes, there's a lot of operational good stuff that's going on as well. But what he said is this inflection point is where we get our greatest resource is through our human resources, right? And when he talked about HR, he said, well, HR, this is where you are right now. So you think about HR, so a static model of job descriptions, recruitment, reward, all of the things that HR has been doing for years, when actually we need to transform HR, and you might be going through this transformation already be there, to where HR is an enabler. It is a shaper of the business. It is proactive in doing that as well, okay? So you might be, I look at the spectrum and go, you might be here, you might be somewhere along that spectrum to here. My opening question to you is, in your current role, have you got the opportunity to make a difference? Or are you caught up in the inertia of your organisation? Or in life, the inertia of life, okay? So, where's the story going to go for me? So, I was really, really fortunate. An opportunity to transform the organisation at MB&A. Now, when I say really, really fortunate, Michael said it's quite dark. So, when an organisation is put up for sale, what does that mean? We got put up for sale, but we didn't sell, right? So, normally when I've gone through mergers, takeovers, you get the news and then it happens, right? But with this particular situation we found ourselves in, it was like we had the for sale sign put outside of the building, okay? And what that meant is, very sadly, is that from 5,500 people, we went to 2,000 over a number of years. What that meant was that there was going to be redundancies, there was going to be divestments of the business, and we went from a European business to a UK business. I used to do a lot of travel to Ireland, worked with some wonderful people, okay? And as you know, what happens when you're caught up in a situation like this is you have survivor syndrome. Those people who are left behind, yeah, worry about their own jobs. Every single one of us didn't know what was going to happen with the organisation. We were all worried about whether we were going to have a job, yeah? So quite dark days, but with dark days, if you stay in an organisation, sometimes there becomes great opportunity, right? That opportunity was, well, our HR director went to Bank of America and said, one of the problems we're going to have is about employee engagement. So just to retain the levels of employee engagement in the organisation, is it possible to give us some money, and can we do some things that are different to what the parents do in the corporation? Yeah? And actually, Bank of America at the time were brilliant because they said, yes, you can. Now, I don't know about you, but when you've got a blank canvas to play with, how good's that? Yeah? Because if you think about it, the inertia of an organisation, a big organisation, is that actually, because there's processes, procedures, systems, you find that you just keep doing the same things all of the time. But here was an opportunity that we were presented with, a blank canvas, okay? So let me tell you what we filled that blank canvas with. Videos to show you, just watch this firstly.
Okay, who's on the top? This is BB. This is Eric. It's your baby.
Eric Weinmayer is a mountain climber. He is one of the youngest ever to scale all 7 summits, the world's most challenging and difficult peaks. McKinley, Kilimanjaro, Aconcagua, Vincent Massif, Everest, Elbrus, Kosciuszko. Eric Weinmayer is a world-class athlete. He has cycled the length of Vietnam, runs marathons, skis, skydives, and paraglides. He is not a daredevil. He takes calculated risks, approaches each new challenge methodically. He knows there will be failures, but he also knows it is possible to touch the top of the world. Eric Weinmayer is blind.
We found that at a particular time. And it's an amazing video just to think that he's blind and what he's achieved. But if you think about, as an organisation, we didn't know the destination. So what it was going to be about, it was going to be about the journey, right? So what was created at the time by a group of very, very creative and talented people was what we called the Explore Employee Engagement Experience. And Explore itself was a metaphor for the journey that we were on, because it was about personal transition for every single person in the organisation because they didn't know the destination. It was also about maintaining those levels of employee engagement. What we wanted to do is we wanted to create the right resources and the right environments for each person to be able to develop and make their own decisions. And Fuel50 was part of this journey, okay? So, now I talk about inertia, because it's quite easy to keep doing the things that you've always done, right? But the world's changing at a very, very rapid rate. Now, I have got to the side of me there, I've got a picture. You can tell what it is, can't you? Yep, what is it? I love it when someone shakes their head like that and they don't know what it is, okay? They don't know what it is. Just go into inertia, right? We are a byproduct of the times that we live in. And if you stay in an organisation long enough, you will become a byproduct of the organisation that you are in as well. Okay? So when we talk about this inertia, right, it's actually difficult sometimes, isn't it, to swim upstream in a different direction. But that's what we need to do, because the world's changing that fast, right? So what it actually is, believe it or not, it's an egg timer. You knew that, didn't you? Yeah, okay. And I'm using the egg timer for a reason, right? So what I'd like to do, can I just have a quick show of hands? Has anybody ever put the keys down in the house and they've not been able to find them? Can you just see a show of hands? Okay. All right, last one. Keep your hands up, keep your hands up. Just out of interest then, if you haven't been able to find them, have you then found them and they were not where you thought they were? Okay, hands all stayed up, right? And the third one is, have you ever blamed somebody else for moving your keys? Yeah? Okay, right? And isn't it amazing that in that moment in time, your mindset becomes so fixed that you create this inertia that actually it wasn't you. And then when you find those keys exactly where you left them, you go, oh, it was me, right? So life is, we can find ourselves in this inertia, just swimming with everybody else as we go, unless we take the choice to do things differently, right? Now, what do we create? Leadership development. It's what I do. It's what I specialize in, okay? So at the time, when it comes to Explore, what we did is we created leadership programs for all level of leader in the organization. We aligned it to the business strategy. We named these leadership programs after famous explorers, so the Columbus program, the Hillary program. And we gave our leaders, which is really, really important, we gave them a choice. Because if we were going to explore, if we were going to go on this journey together, you had to choose to come along with us, okay? And when people make that choice, eventually it starts to snowball. One leader after another started to get involved in the program. I'll explain the results when we get to it, but what did it involve? Well, Fuel50, the Career Centre, was obviously one of those things. But what we provided for leaders, and as you can see this sentence here, right? What we provided for leaders at the time was a series of solutions. So we provided self-service solutions mapped to our leadership behaviours. And we used those self-service solutions like lynda.com, Safari, Harvard, those self-service solutions that leaders can tap into quite easily for their own development, but based on those behaviours. We brought in external speakers. One of the first speakers that came in was Sir Ranulph Fiennes, so we brought in external thinking. We also used psychometric tools, and we used the Career Centre, which I'm going to talk to you about in a little bit more detail. And we also used experiential learning with challenges, with mentoring, all those good things that leaders could choose to do if they wanted to and come on this journey with us. And we had a social media tool that we called the Leadership Cloud, which was there for collaboration. But at the same time, what it was there for was to provide responsive leadership development in time with the business strategy, with the thinking to help our leaders grow, change, develop mindsets as we went along, okay? Now, there was a couple of things that we had to adhere to. So I don't know about you, this is my little one going into school. It's like, I'm like that, bye Connor, and he goes like that. He's so cool, he's unreal. In any case, this is the parents. So Bank of America, there was still some adherence. So we had the same system still, obviously, and if we talk about performance management, we still needed to use the same performance management system. So I don't know about you, but we were putting our goals in March. You then get your mid-year conversation, calibrate in October, and get to your year-end conversation. That was pretty fixed, okay? So that's part of the inertia of an organization, all right? So, swimming upstream. You'd agree with the statement, wouldn't you? So employees want to be empowered, trusted, and in control. Now, I think this is a really important part, okay? Because to me, there's three very, very important conversations, right? And I'm going to get a show of hands for this, okay? But let me explain them firstly, right? So the career conversation is on the employee's agenda, right? The performance conversation is the company's agenda. Because if I don't perform, you will get rid of me, right? Because I would love to just perform and just turn up every day and just, yeah? Okay? The development discussion, a little bit topical, it's a shared agenda. It's a shared agenda. Yes, we want them to own their own development, but it's a shared agenda. I'm going to come back to that, okay? So let's go to the career conversation, right? What I'd like you to do is show of hands if your leaders have career conversations. Okay, so can you have a show of hands, the same people, if it is 90% to 100% of your leaders that have career conversations? Okay, there's no hands up right now. I would have liked you to have kept your hands up if your leaders had career conversations that included talking about values, motivations, their agility, their talents, their pathway preferences, their career plan that is written down, recorded, right? And you have robust, we can laugh now, can't we? You have robust career conversation with those people. Okay, all right, let's just go here, okay? We get to performance, right? So the performance conversation. Can I just see a show of hands if you have regular performance conversations about what goals, how goals, and maybe some development discussion as well. So just see a raise of hands, yeah? Okay? Now, keep your hands up if your leaders are excellent at giving coaching and feedback. Okay. All right, but I was expecting quite a number of hands to go up here, okay? Maybe not so much for the coaching and feedback. Development discussions, okay? So development discussions happen in your organization, yeah? Okay, your people are developing. You've got to a point in your organization where they own their own development, right? Now, I said it was a shared agenda. The reason I think it's a shared agenda is because, yeah, we do want people to have a growth mindset. We do want them to develop themselves. They've got to make that choice. But at the same time, it is a leader's responsibility to coach and give feedback. It is a leader's responsibility to help them when, if they can't think strategically and they don't know how to think strategically, and you can, you help them. You show them what you do day to day. You help them. You should be just as passionate about their developments as them. All right? And give them opportunities. All right? So, see the point that I'm making, okay? 3 very important conversations. Where does the egg timer come into this and the inertia, right? If you think about an egg timer, well, as that fizzles down, right, what it eventually does is set. Okay? It sets. You with me? All right. I've got a question for you. I'd like to discuss it on your tables. Right now, when it comes to the inertia in your career, or other people's in your organization, the people around you, what is holding them back? What are the barriers that you face or other people face? Can I just get you to talk about it at your tables? Is that okay? There's just a little bit of participation. Thank you. Yeah. I'll say the question again, just so everyone's clear, because I'm using this word inertia, aren't I, right? So inertia, for me, what I want you to think about is in your career, at any point in your career, right now, in the past, and the people around you, what do you see as being the barriers that have got in the way? The things that stop you, the obstacles, the blockers, right? Can I just get you to discuss them? Because I think they'll be part of the inertia in your organization. Okay, I'm not going to ask for specific examples. What I'd like to do is just ask a few questions, okay? So those things that create this inertia, these barriers, these blockers, just see a show of hands if it is other people that you've experienced that have got in the way. Yeah? Okay. Show of hands if it's the organization that's got in the way. Okay. A show of hands then if it's the process, procedures, system, whatever it might be, got in the way. Okay. And just the final one, a show of hands if it was been you. Okay. All right. Lovely. Okay. Lovely. All right. Where am I going? If we do nothing with what you've talked about in the room, right, and we become this product of inertia, is what actually happens is this sand comes down, it settles, and we keep doing things the way that we've always done them, right? So the organisation that I was in, it was all about performance. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to get the egg timer and we wanted to turn it upside down because we knew the power of having career conversations, yeah? It's what we should be doing. We know the power of this development, growth mindset conversation that we need to be having. All three are important. All three are important, okay? So, employees want to be in control of their career. You know that. So we brought in Fuel50 as part of our leadership development programs, and we introduced the Career Centre. Where did we target initially? We targeted mid-level and front-level leaders so they could work with their colleagues at the time. Because if you think about the situation that we were in, right? And the amazing thing is, if you think about what I was talking about before when I stood here, about values and motivations and career plan, that's what the Career Centre does. It is a spark to have conversations, powerful conversations, to understand your people, to understand what their needs are, what their agenda is, right? And these questionnaires are a powerful way to get insight and spark that conversation. So, what are the benefits of using Fuel50? As you can see, I have my egg timer. So, for colleagues, take control of their careers. We talked about with Michael this concept of everlasting employability. That if you provide the right resources, create the right mindset, then that's what people have. if they develop themselves, develop the CV and everything else that goes with it. For colleagues to have these robust career conversations with the managers and vice versa, and as I said, having these conversations drives engagement. I'll show you our results just in a moment. And for leaders, it's a kind of vice versa, isn't it? You actually get the full picture of the people that you are leading. It actually puts the human back in human resources. Yeah? Okay, that's what Perry talks about. So, how do we bring it in? This is pretty simple and straightforward stuff. It was a choice, so we took our existing leaders and said, if you'd like to get involved in this, these are the reasons why. These are the benefits to using this particular tool. So we did 1-day training, take them through the system, and then provided some follow-up, okay? Made sure that they were comfortable. But in that training, the whole point of it is they experience the tool themselves. So they go through it, they complete it, they create their own career plan, and they have a discussion on the back of that. So they see the full value of the tool. Yeah? We put it into our new leader program. And then we quickly realized with this tool, because there's so much to it, that the best way for existing leaders to use it was really maybe just focus on one of the questionnaires. So what we did is we bring leaders in, we get them to complete the values questionnaire, have a conversation about that, and let them complete the rest in their own time. And we had the Leadership Cloud to support ongoing conversations and collaboration to support. So what were the results, right? Well, obviously, the one that stands out is engagement scores over 4 years with our employee engagement strategy and these leadership development programs went up 40%. How do we know the programs worked? Because what we did is those that were participating in the program compared to those that not, at year end, what we did is we compared a number of things. So performance, engagement scores, absence, participation in the cloud. And actually what we saw is we saw an uplift in the group that were participating year on year. And actually then, if you look at the engagement score, there was also this brilliant conversation that happened with one of our top employees at the time. And one of the execs said, she was overperforming on the previous year, and he said, what is it that you're doing different, and what have you done with your team, because they're pretty much the same? And she said, listen, I haven't done anything different to last year other than use the Career Centre. He's on the phone, HR, and guess what? We had 600 people going through it straight away, yeah, on the basis of one conversation. But that's how powerful it was for that particular person. So key learnings. I guess the key learning for us is that you really do need to think about how you want to introduce it and use it in your organisation. If fitted for purpose for us at the right time, there's lots of different ways that you can introduce this tool into your organisation. So next steps, where do we get to? We were just about to move on to start looking at career pathing. So how can we start to map roles in MBA to the tool itself? But we never got any further than that because the story ended at the end of the 4 years where Lloyds Banking Group then bought MBA. Okay? Now, in that time, if you look at the engagement scores, MBA was also in the top 20 great place to work organisations, and also MBA credit card company, it received the Moneyfacts Credit Card Provider of the Year 5 years on the run. Okay? So some great achievements there. Overall learnings, well, I think I've highlighted quite a few of them, but the impact of driving meaningful career conversations over performance rating conversations, I think it speaks for itself. The power of understanding a person's values and motivations and the impact it has on engagement. For us, there was also a learning around the importance of developing the right leadership architecture to support leaders and colleagues as well. And also, as I mentioned, our leadership development strategy, it was responsive, it was collaborative, it was experiential. What we based it on, I just think this is important just to conclude on, is that what we identified was that if we wanted to bring top talent into the organisation, we wanted to basically define that. What we hit on was these 5 leadership success factors. And what we said was, well, actually, if we're going to bring top talent into the organisation and recruit on the basis of that, then what we should do is we should develop our leaders based on those success factors as well. So I get to this particular point with the strategy, and it's just a concluding point, is that there's a lot of organisations that have competency models. They then have resources and opportunities, and they focus a lot on the gaps and how you plug those gaps, okay? There's nothing wrong in that. Bank of America has some wonderful tools, but I'm going back to when we were first part of Bank of America. What I see as being transformational leadership development is the approach that I've just been talking about. The fact that we defined what leadership is, leadership by design. We brought in the right tools that were collaborative, experiential, responsive, and made a difference in the organisation, in this case, of which Fuel50 was a part of.